Hello and welcome to the latest iteration of CISO Point of View. I'm really excited to be joined by Dr. Erdal Ozkaya. Erdal, how are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you very much, Darren. And how are you?
Great. For those of you who may not know, Dr. Erdal is the CISO of Standard Chartered Bank. He's also a hugely influential CISO, an award-winning CISO. He also, when he has time, I've no idea when you do have time, you also are a lecturer and a subject matter expert on all things security related. So Dr. Erdal, tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do?
As you said, currently extremely busy helping not just the bank, also the customers to be secure in my region, which is Middle East, Africa, and Pakistan. Besides that, I'm writing books. I'm trying to be part of the community, such as this session here, trying to help because I believe we are in a war with bad people, and we can be only successful if we make their job harder. And for that, we have to raise the awareness, and we are better together. It's like I always say, look, I really don't care if you know your neighbor, if you love your neighbor, but if there is a fire, you better go help your neighbor because the fire can easily jump into your house. So we are better together, and that's what keeps me busy these days.
Yeah, I don't think you could have put it perfectly better. Talk a bit about your journey to CISO. What are the steps in your career that you took?
Oh, actually, lots of steps. I started as many other people did as the IT guy. Beside being good in Windows and Linux, I was also good on installing antivirus, removing malware. Back then, 20 years ago, what was cybersecurity? It was, you are the IT admin with some security knowledge, and security was hardening basic operating system, which is a very small component of information of cybersecurity. Then I built my own company, and honestly, for me, security was always a passion. Besides being the sysadmin, I was lucky enough to get in my early career stages management roles, but I was also lucky enough to be able to focus on security because it was either a bug which was keeping me awake, or sometimes it was back then again there were not too many malwares as today, or not too many cyber attacks, but I was lucky enough to be with right people in the right place in the right time and invest to be better. I mean, yes, I was, beside working full-time all my life, as you said, I was spending lots of time on studying, and as security was my passion, I spent a bit more time without knowing that security is going to be the future. I think it is at the moment. Yes, information technology is important, but cybersecurity in information technologies is like the favorite meal. It's a good restaurant, but the favorite meal is these days cybersecurity because it involves everything. And I keep saying this to my stakeholders as well. Look, regardless of your size of your business, regardless of the type of your business, you need to secure it. It's not just about you anymore. It's not just about the customers anymore. Like years ago, you used to do a mistake. You used to have a malware in your computer. Okay, maybe it runs them in one or two computers, but today it's not just you who's getting affected, not just the customers, but also your co-workers. Like ransomware attack happened very recently to many big organizations, right? The whole like Garmin, for example, it's public news. They had to pay $4 million US, down from 10, and they stopped operations. Or years ago, it happened to Sony, where they had thousands of workstations. Or again, years ago, it happened to Aramco. They lost 70% of the computing power, and this is where keeps me busy because unfortunately the hackers, the threat actors, they're like the front wheel of the bicycle. We keep following them at the moment, and I'm trying to find innovative ways to make their job harder. At the moment, their job is very easy. Believe it or not, it's very easy. Yes, I mean, you are also a professional. You know that cybersecurity, I mean, when you look at victims, oh, it's a very sophisticated attack, but when you look at the details, it's in reality not sophisticated. Saying that, for example, the FireEye attack was very sophisticated. Yes, I agree. But when you look at the root cause, SolarWinds 123, and the CEO blamed intern. So it was not that sophisticated. And one little mistake in SolarWinds could cost world's biggest cybersecurity firm to get hacked, or as a result, Microsoft and some other companies. Was it their fault? No. Was it their fault? Yes. No and yes. Yeah, third-party supply chain attack, this and that. We can look at the details, but at the end, the very root cause was, it's like, you know, if you don't want to get COVID, put your mask, use a hand sanitizer, keep your distance. If you're lucky enough, like me, get your vaccine. You might be against it, but at the moment, I don't think it's the right time to be against such a thing. So if you follow the basic, you should be more secure than anybody else. Cybersecurity is the same. You know, SolarWinds 1, 2, 3. What else can I say? That's the root cause, right? And of course, there is some bigger, sophisticated vectors behind it, but we will not have enough time to discuss that.
I think you summed it up very well. All right, so what do banks need to do, or what measures should banks take to be prepared for the next ransomware event?
Okay, not just my current role. I used to work before at Microsoft as cybersecurity architect, trusted security advisor, or way before that in Australia, I had my own company, which I used to do penetration testing services. So I visited lots of banks globally, beside my current role. And most of the banks, they're like dinosaurs. They still don't know that they're a technology company. Hold on, technology company? Yes. Banks are technology companies with banking license. Like, let me tell you an example. Like, can you imagine a bank without computers, without mobile apps? Like, what is an ATM? It is a Windows or Linux-based machine, which has a software which checks if you have enough balance of money, then it gives you the money, right? In a very basic term. Or how do you do FPOS via credit cards? Okay, you know, connects GPRS connections, checks the system, or how do you do online banking? It's all via technology. And when we look at attack vectors, like again, like Lazarus, the very big threat actor group which aims to get to be after the banks, or let's look a bit more back. Carbanak, which was a very famous virus threat, which actually stole from 100 banks more than $1 billion. And when you look at the attack vectors, unfortunately, still phishing. Most of the emails start with phishing. Most of the attacks start with emails, and this is phishing attacks. And when you look again, ransomware, another example. Like, okay, ransomware is not new like many people think. The first ransomware attack happened in 1980s. Why a physical floppy disk attack? But the very famous ransomware attack happened in 2016-17, WannaCry. How? Just for the ones that don't know, NSA had their vulnerability, which they were using, Eternal Blue. Microsoft found that out, and they released their urgent patch. And the very first attack happened not 2 hours, not 2 days, not 20 days, exactly 2 months later. How? You didn't patch. And when you look today, most of the ransomware attacks, unfortunately, still happens via vulnerabilities. So not enough patch management, not enough following the basic of security, and not having basic controls, unfortunately, leads them to fail. And when you look again back in the banks to your question, I mean, I can proudly say Standard Chartered is working really hard, but I'm not the spokesman for Standard Chartered. I will leave it aside. But banks has to be, especially all the banks. I'm pretty sure they have lots of legacy applications. I'm pretty sure they still have Windows XP, Windows 2003s on a system which even Microsoft doesn't support anymore. or forget about it. Some banks, and promise I'm not talking about my own bank or my old customers, based on public news by Komodo or Kaspersky or Microsoft threat intelligence reports, most of the attacks are still based on those legacy applications, legacy services, misconfiguration. As a result, you get hacked. Not just $10, not that $10,000, millions of dollars. In Carbonic example, combined $1 billion. So what can you do to protect it? Again, look, it's impossible for you to burn everything and start a new IT network. But, everybody's talking, for example, about zero trust. You don't have to do zero trust from scratch. Just start, create a green zone, and in that green zone, start to micro-segment your most important applications. Here's my question to you, Doran. I'm pretty sure you have some valuables that you keep at home. Mm-hmm. This could be an expensive watch, your passport, some money, diamond. I'm pretty sure you don't keep them next to your pens, pencils. You keep them either in a safe or hidden somewhere, usually in a bedroom. Why? Because if you keep your valuable items next to unvaluable items, soon you're going to have more unvaluable items than your valuable items. So even at home, cybersecurity is not magic. You do segmentations, you try to hide stuff. Or let's say in your computer, if you have some stuff that you don't want others to see, you don't leave it in a desktop, right? You try to create a folder, you try to hide it in that folder, maybe rename it. So if you do this in personal level, why are you not doing in a corporate level? If you just, okay, I understand you have vulnerabilities, but at least enforce strong passwords. But this is not enough. Enforce MFA, multi-factor authentication. Enforce, segregation of duties. Why do you need admin rights? If this is a public computer, why do you need to connect to, not public, is this a laptop that you connect to public resources? Why do you need to use the same laptop or same device to connect to public resource and your cloud resources, for example, as admin, or to your data center? Separate them. It's easy. Just use virtual machines, maybe. Look, I know this will not stop the hackers, but if we make the ROI, the return of investment for them harder, at the moment, all what they do is sit down and wait until organizations release critical updates. And they know people are not going to patch it. And they know lots of people still have vulnerabilities, even free softwares like Google Chrome. They are not in the latest version. There is a 0 days. You visit the website. The hackers, they can easily use that, for example, vulnerability scanner, which is free. From that, somehow take you to a waterhole website, or somehow, you receive a phishing email based on Verizon. 10 people in 1 hour clicks on the phishing mails because they believe they're expecting something to be out of it. And 6 of those 10 people even forward sometimes the attachment asking, is this real or not? They fall into that social engineering trick, unfortunately. As a result, not just them, not just the organization, the shareholders get, unfortunately, affected as well. What happened to SolarWinds? First response was the share market dropped, right? The share value dropped off the organization. And unfortunately, this is the case.
Yeah. Okay. So on that note, do you think that specifically banks, do you think they have a good grasp of where the crown jewels are located?
Again, today, no matter what kind of cybersecurity resource you open, everybody started to talk about crown jewels. Everybody started to talk about risk assessment, risk-based approach. The answer is yes, even if not they're up to date, they are in the process, which is good enough. I can tell that we definitely know our crown jewels and we have proper risk management to mitigate those. But again, I don't want to talk about just my bank. This is the very first step that anybody should do. If you know your weaknesses, if you know your valuable items, you assess them, you can secure them based. It's like, COVID. You know how you can get infected via close touch with a human, via shaking hands, and you don't know if I'm sick or not, via touching unsecure surfaces, via not putting some basic protections. As a result, you know what the crown jewels are, your body. You know how the virus is attacking you through your nose or through your eyes. So if you just follow you try to keep the distance. I don't want to keep saying the same examples. This will make you more secure, and this applies to the crown jewels as well, right?
Absolutely. Okay, great. Let's move on. You talked about vulnerabilities briefly, and one of the things that we've seen, we've spoken to a number of CISOs, not just within banks, but other industries as well. And they're looking at extending the scope of vulnerability management from the outer perimeter, protecting the endpoints and the network and the operating system, to protecting the core storage systems. And this is something that's a real interest right now, to try to preempt the hackers themselves. What's your thoughts on taking vulnerability management and protecting the core storage systems?
I think this should be from day one the main core, and I love this. I'm a big fan of this because at the end, look, no matter where you work, software company, bank, technology companies, agriculture, at the end, we all produce data. And the hackers are after our data. In a bank, data is the money. In a software company is the IP. In agriculture is maybe the cost price. In an oil company is again the cost price, right? At the end, oil is free. They just pump it out based on the usage rights. But bringing that oil up costs money, and distributing to the world costs money. Refining. So what I'm trying to say is, so as long as I'm usually after, I'm pretty sure the hackers, most of the hackers, they have nothing against Darren, but Darren works in a valuable company and Darren produces some data. So yes, I might have some personal issues with you or with your company, but most of the time they don't care who we are, what we do. They're just after the crown jewel, the data. An example, if you remember in Australia last year, we had very big, bushfires, which millions of animals died, hundreds and thousands of people were affected. And while the world united and wanted to help us Australians and the bushfires and the people affected from bushfires, hackers attacked those websites through some vulnerabilities found on those websites, and they didn't care what the cause was for. They just cared about getting the money. Or, I can give another example, maybe unrelated to the question. In ransomware attacks, most of the time, hackers, they don't care about you. They just want to stop you working. If everybody stops working, they're going to enforce you to pay you money. And as a result, they won't just get your money. And they don't care about your data. Most of the time, they pretend not caring. They sell it, but it's not the case. But what happened in Germany? They hit a hospital, and unfortunately, some of the machines stopped working. And look, if I get hacked, maybe I will lose my job. You will lose your job. But we will find another job. We will learn from our mistakes. Or maybe I will lose my pictures if I don't pay the ransomware company. Or, I'm writing books. Maybe I'm going to lose my book. But I can recover all of these. I can work hard. You can work hard. We can make this happen again. But in that hospital, a person lost his life. That you cannot bring back. That's why I'm saying, if you ask me, what is more dangerous, an F-16 or an F-35 airplane or a cyber attack? Unfortunately, I can say they're actually dangerous. Or if you ask me, cybersecurity is more dangerous than F-16. I mean, why? Because at the end, this machine has a software which is being, an F-16, for example, cannot hit a NATO alliance airplane. The software will block it. Even if the pilot wants to bring you down, press the button, the software will not fire the missile. It will block it because it will not see it as enemy. But what if you hack the software and you show, for example, a military base, which is your own military base, as a enemy base, and it commands you to attack? How are you going to protect against that? Or happened very recently in California, hackers wanted to poison the water dam, right? Dam is for waters anyway. The dam. And again, you cannot recover back from these. So back to your question, unfortunately, cybersecurity is not just protecting the data, it's also protecting lives as well, if you ask me.
Yep. Okay, so how have organizations traditionally verified data recoverability in the case of a breach?
Data recoverability, I mean, I hope they do, because look, it's not about it's not about if you are going to get hacked. Look, there is not based on me, based on the ex-FBI director, James Comey, who was fired. He's ex because he was fired by the ex-American president, Donald Trump. Too many exes. Anyway, I just want to add the joke part here. So he said there is two types of organizations. One, they know they've been hacked. Two, they don't. So you're either hacked or you don't know yet that you've been hacked, or you're just about to get hacked. So when you get hacked, all right, I remember your previous question, data is the most important asset. You want to protect your data. This could be your money, this could be your IP. So now, press the button. Let's go 30 years back. What was the core IT element that you learned? I mean, yeah, you are young, but you remember when you first started. It was, hey, have a backup. Your backup in a tape, and ensure it's under your bed, then you can sleep. We used to have fire safe backup units that even if the building burns down. So that's still the core element. If you look, I really don't care. You can burn my data center. If you can recover within a few hours, then you're safe. Yes, you might be down for a few hours, but is this not now what digital transformation is? That's why we started to use cloud. We started to have version of the backups, and you can just recover within a few clicks, utilize the latest technologies to do that. I believe this is still very important. And if you are not following this practice, you're going to be out of game. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but very soon.
Yep. Okay, that's a good point. A sobering point, but a very good point. Let's move on and talk about the role of automation. Now, automation is not a new trend, but it is taken on a new level of importance, certainly in 2021. Automating scanning, detection, prioritizing vulnerabilities, etc., etc. The list goes on. And especially as we know that security teams are overburdened, they're overworked. What are your thoughts on the role of automation in 2021?
AI, for example, right, is the next step of automation as well. I'm a big fan of it. Let me give you an example. You are a human. I mean, yes, you are. Let's say you work in a SOC. Your job is to monitor the alerts. And that week you're on night shift, while you just about to go to your work, you had a fight with your partner, wife, husband, boyfriend, I don't care what it is, or with your mother, or while you're driving to work, you had an accident, you had a really bad day. And on top of it, you have some headache. It's not COVID, so just normal headache and a little runny eyes. You're not in your day. And that moment, a fragmentation attack happens. Your SIEM or your security system notifies the alert for you to verify. But because you are not sharp on that day, you can maybe miss it. But if we have proper automation or AI who can detect this and say, are you sure you're ignoring this? This looks like something big. This can save your life. Back to automation. For example, more. This was more an AI example, maybe. You have 100,000 work endpoints, and it's mixed. You have all kind of Windows, all kind of Linux versions, You have also, Red Hat, Mac, Linux, whatever, you name it, all based on Linux kernels. How are you, like, doesn't matter how big your team is. How can you do this manually? Automation is really important. As long as you do it right, as long as you do it with the right partners. For that, you have to have really good third-party vendor, or you name it, whatever it is, to help you. Again, for this, I always give this example as well. Look, you and I'm the best heart surgeon in the world. We go somewhere hiking. That moment you get a heart attack. What can I do? I'm the best heart surgeon in the world. What can I do to protect you? Heart massage? That's it. What else can I do? I need my tools a heart surgeon needs the tools to, if necessary, give you the anesthetics, make you sleep, and do the operation. And this is where you need your partners, actually, when it comes to cybersecurity. It doesn't matter how good you are, if you don't have the right partner, the right tool, the right automation, you cannot fight against the threat actors, which has unlimited budget, unlimited resources in some cases, like the FireEye example, right? It was a nation state powered attack, and they had the resources, the money, the ability to use a very sophisticated attack, which, when you look at the root cause, was not that sophisticated. I mean, starting from SolarWinds. I hope this answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about strategy. What are the best tips for CISOs to get a bigger seat at the table and also to secure boardroom investment?
I wrote a whole book about it, but if you ask me, called Cybersecurity Attack and Defense Strategies. If you ask me, it's like 600 pages book together with my dear friend Yuri. What is the core of that book? I would say one line. You don't need to be secure as much as possible. You need to be secure as necessary. Look, we all know there is no 100% security. I think we all agree with that, right? So if you know that you are not going to be able to protect everything, why not focus on protecting your crown jewels, applications, for example, or your core data, or, separate them and focus. I'm not saying let the door open. You have 500 windows and you don't have the budget to buy a lock to all of them. At least move your valuable assets to the top floor and try to lock those windows starting first, and then you can go down. Why? Because someone has to go all the way up to steal what he or she wants to steal. So if you make this harder, then you can be more secure as well. An example, Mission Impossible movies. I'm pretty sure you watched one of them, where Tom Cruise, gets a car. He attacks from the front window. Everybody looks to the front door. Everybody goes that window. Everybody goes to the front door, and he goes as a stranger in straight to the data center and try, steal, because he diverts the attention somewhere else, and then he goes in and steals what he wants to steal, right? So if that was in a higher floor, he had to, it's a movie. They had to, he did it as well. He climbed all the way in Burj Khalifa, the longest tower in the world. But again, this is a movie. We all know it's not going to be that easy for him to climb 800 meters up. But if you think about it, even that, they made it much harder, even in the movie, and that added the action, which makes us watch it again and again.
Awesome. All right, Dr. Erdal, it's been an amazing conversation. I really thank you for your time joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation. Sorry, sometimes I talk a lot, but as you know, this is like an ocean. We can, you can give unlimited examples, unfortunately or fortunately, but I hope it was valuable to all of you. Please take care, be safe, and I'm looking to see all of you hopefully soon face by face in a beautiful event.